Can you see me? Am I clear to you? That's what Pac said, but they call me Snapavelli the Dawn. Hey, what's up everybody, it's Marcus. So in today's video, a lot of people have asked me, can you compare a really budget camera from Nikon with a great sensor to a high-end Canon like an R5 that I have? So it's the R5 versus the Z5, and we're going to look at these files back to back and see, is it really that big of a difference? You know, get what you pay for, or do you just get better files out of Nikon no matter what? Let's check that out right now. And please go to ProPhotoEdits.com. You can download my Lightroom presets and Photoshop actions. Every image that you see me upload here on YouTube and on my website, on my Instagram, has been edited with these presets and my Lightroom actions. I want to let you guys know that my course is up right now. It's my creative lighting course and photo editing course. So this is like a bundle. You're going to learn how I do all my creative lighting in studio. Every piece of gear that I use, I break it down to why I choose the colors that I choose. Every single thing. No stone is left unturned. And then we're going to hop into Lightroom. You get my Lightroom presets for each file. There's 6 in there right now. There's going to be 12 by the end of the year. Then we'll hop into Photoshop, and I give you screen recordings of me editing each one of these shots, so I can show you how to really up your game on both sides, shooting and editing. And last week I also uploaded another bonus video in there for you, how I get this light bending technique that everyone's been asking me about on my Instagram page. So I break it down in complete details what you need to get this look completely in camera. Alright, so let's get to this review. Okay everybody, so in case you missed last week's video, it was the Nikon Z5 and how to use a 35 1.2 with autofocus on it, or any Nikon camera for that matter. So what you're looking at right now is just some slow-mo 4K 120 R5 footage that I took after the shoot was over, and I have this full videos on my channel somewhere too. It's about a minute long, but it's a fun video to watch. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to look at some files with you guys in Lightroom from the R5 with the 35 1.2 adapted on there. And the reason why I chose this lens, I love this lens, is Sigma Art 35 1.2, and Nikon really doesn't have anything that's that great of a 35 right now, so I'm going to be comparing it against my 35 1.4 L2 on my R5 that you see I have on there right now. So we're going to look at those files together in Lightroom and pixel peep and compare, see how they color grade, see dynamic range wise. We can zoom in a little bit and see, but it's, you know, the megapixels aren't really there. But I'm gonna give you my thoughts and tell you how I feel about the sensors. And then next week I'll have the Z5 versus the GFX. So that'll be interesting, so subscribe for that, as well as all the content I upload. Alright you guys, so let's look at some of these files from this photo shoot that I did with Shelby and my buddy Cliffy's car. And I put the same exact preset on both of these and just tweaked the exposure a little bit. And this is going to be on the right hand side, the 35 1.2 on the Z5, and this is going to be the 35 1.4 L2 on my R5. I'm really impressed, just let me say, as a longtime Nikon fan, that has stepped away from the system for a little bit just because I had a lot of video work that needed to be done, and the R5 is like the ultimate video camera for what I do besides overheating, but I'm not going to get into that right now. And the Canon glass has just always been so superb. The Nikon sensors, to me, everyone knows that I love them. I shot them for years, and I'm going to get back into it this year, now that they're coming out with some 1.2s, which I just really love, you know, high-end glass. And I'm not knocking the Nikon cameras at all. I just wanted to see like what the lowest level Z5 camera could do against the higher end R5, which they finally fixed the dynamic range that the Canon cameras were, you know, plagued with for a while. Their color's always really nice, but dynamic range and a natural light situation like this can be problematic if you try to push the files a little bit. So with the same exact preset, I mean, you're not going to get the resolution here that on the this Z5 file that you will on the R5 file, but color wise, I would venture to say that just from pushing these, that the Z5 has a little bit better color, maybe. I don't know, that's kind of I'm trying to get these as close as I can. You know, they were shot within minutes of each other, and we're gonna go through like 4 or 5 of these files, and I'll put a couple of them in the link below so you can download them, right? But listen, don't repost these anywhere. That's just my stipulation for this. You can mess around, tone them to death, but don't post them anywhere or tag anybody in them, okay? This is just to help you guys make a decision. I have some people do that, and it always kind of pisses me off, so just don't do that. So here we go. I really am impressed with the Z5 files. We're going to find a couple more here, but I guess before I should do that, I should just let you see. All right, I'm going to take the preset off of the R5 file and then put it back on, and you can see how the R5 rolls are kind of really bland, you know. I mean, you have to understand this is natural light here, so, and then here's the Z5 file, and the raw file out of camera has a little bit more color to it, just a little bit. They're all pretty bland, but that's what you want from a raw file. And with the preset, I would venture to say that this just feels a little bit more round and just what I'm used to from years and years of Nikon. You know, they're just like an editor's dream camera as far as colors go. But let's get into a couple more files here. So here are a couple more files that I found that are very similar in framing, time of day and all that. And you're going to have the 35 1.2 on the Z5 on the right, and on the left you're going to have the R5 1.4 35mm L2 adapted on the left. And I tried to get as much apples to apples as I could here, and once again, I mean, we can zoom in here, and it's always doing the loading thing when you're getting big files like this. I think the Canon actually missed that file, which is like very rare because the hair was in her eye. And I got it with the R5 adapted with the 35 L2, I mean with a 35 1.2 Sigma art on there on the adapter. So you know, I'm trying to tell you that adapter is really not that bad for static images. But yeah, color wise, let's just look at the files. Pretty much equal to me, I would say. I do think that the Nikon file is a bit punchier, you know, and that could be something to do with just, you know, the 5-minute difference in light, you know, or just the way I expose. I'm pretty good at matching files. You know, if I wanted to match this one to that one identically, I could. For me, I would push these blacks up a little bit more on this Nikon file, but for this price on this Nikon camera, dude, you're not going to beat that sensor. I mean, I've pushed it and pulled it. The last image here, and we'll wrap it up with this shoot. I'll give you one more from the Brenda shoot after this, just so we can compare a little bit more in this studio situation. So this is going to be the Z5 with the 35 1.2 on the right, R5 with the 35 on the left, 1.4. And these are different angles, of course, so you're going to get different colors here in the background from whatever was back there that you're not really going to see over on this side. And this is a filter on top giving you that rainbow flare out, so don't pay any attention to that. That's not banding at all. And I matched these as much as I could, you know, just for a 5-minute little matchup. You're going to have just differences between sensors no matter what, but again, super impressed with the Z5 files, just because I wasn't expecting that. You know, I know what the Z7 is. I've shot it for years, and it's just one of my favorite sensors of all time. But the D810 with the D850, I had all those cameras. Incredible sensors. And then the R5 sensor is really good too. Out of camera, I think that the Z5 files, if you don't need the resolution, are a bit easier for my editing style to get where I want. They're a little bit warmer. But again, I can match that pretty easy on the Canon side. But if you're looking for the best files on a budget, I think the Z5 files, and I'm just talking files, I'm not talking about autofocus and all that stuff. I know that's very important, but the Z5 is not going to match up with like the R6. It's not autofocus wise. It's not going to match up with Sony's whatever they have at that price point, which is what, the A7 whatever. We're at 3 now. It's just not going to match up with those, but it's cheaper than all those. And you know, if you're not needing a ton of frames per second, it has pretty acceptable autofocus. I found, you know, very acceptable. The screen on the back is crap, you know, just like I think all lower resolution screens are, but the files coming out of that camera are really, really good. And I'll go into develop mode here, and I'll let you see again. R5 file, raw file, always super boring. Preset on there, looks really, really good. And let's go over here and let's find the Z5 file that I was matching that one up with. That's beautiful. Straight out of camera, you know, it just has a little bit more to it straight out of camera, and that's what the preset on there. So I pushed the dynamic range on here like I always do, and it held up. You know, was not expecting that. I mean, I kind of was, just knowing it's a Nikon sensor, but at that price point, I've never really shot a sensor at that price point that I didn't think was, you know, kind of garbage, considering, you know, everything that's on the market for that price point, you know. All right, for final comparison, apples to apples test, this shoot I did with Brenna, and these aren't images I used from this shoot. These are just a couple that I found that look similar framing, and I'll flash a couple on the screen that I did use from this shoot that were taken with the R5 and the Z5, ones that I actually liked. And so check this out. This is the 35 1.2 on the Z5 adapted, and this is my 35 1.4 L2 on my R5, and I put the same preset on both of these, one of my presets from my editorial pack, and then I had to tweak the Z5 file, because Z5 files have a little bit of, or just Nikon files in general, have a little bit more magenta shift in them, and I have to mess around with the yellows a little bit in the skin. And as you can see, like, yellow in this whole theme is really, really difficult to get right for, you know, just editing in the sensor. You know, it makes you work a little bit because there's a lot of yellow in certain people's skin tones. So like if she was a darker skin tone, it wouldn't be as bad, but she has a lot of yellow in her skin. There's a lot of yellow going on in the scene, so it really pushes them to the max. And I'm super impressed with how the Z5 compared. I mean, if we zoom in here, resolution wise, you're gonna notice that the R5 just has more resolutions. You get in closer at 200%. And you can see there's, I don't know if YouTube will mess it up, but you can see there's a lot more detail in the skin than there is on the Z5, but that's just a resolution thing. If you're looking for a higher resolution camera, you won't be looking at the Z5 anyway. But just color wise, and I shoot with a lot of different cameras, color wise, the colors are really, really, really good. And you know, I'm a long-time Nikon fan, and I've been shooting Canon for a while, and I wasn't impressed with a lot of the Canon sensors. I mean, I got great images with them, but until I shot with the R5, I was really impressed with that one because they stepped up their dynamic range. But the Z5 is a really, really incredible camera for its files. Alright guys, until next time, next week I should say, we're going to do the Z5, R5, and GFX, and we're going to really push them with the same photo shoot and see what we can get out of each one of them and how close they all are. Alright, till next time, it's Marcus, y'all.